Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Entab presents CampusCare EdTalks, a platform where educators and leaders express their viewpoints on burning topics related to education. Generation Z is the next generation of students. According to McKinsey, they are more realistic and rational about their arrangements than the earlier generation. For instance, before buying anything, Generation Z is expected to access and evaluate information, reviews, and would analyze on their own from Google. Even Adobe Education Survey states that 93% of students of Gen Z consider technology classroom imperative to feed their creativity and prepare them for their future career. In short, technology is defining the trait of Generation Z. To encourage our Gen Z students to get equipped for their tomorrow, we should build a smart classroom to satisfy the perspectives of our students as well as the educators and acknowledge the most relevant approach to reach the excellent education system. To talk more about avenues and explore ideas about the same, we have with us our experienced educators. First, we have Archana Jain ma'am, Principal, DPS Panipat, who has more than 30 years of experience in teaching. She has served various positions in DPS Nepal, Kuwait, and Noida. She has set up new school at Gwalior, India for Delhi Public School Society. She won the Best Speaker Award at the World Education Summit at Denver, USA. She believes in bestowing global exposure to her students to intensify and broaden their horizons. She has organized a teacher student international exchange program with USA, Russia, Finland, Germany, France, Japan, and many more cities like these. Ma'am, a few words for our viewers. Ma'am, I think you're on mute. Archana, ma'am? Yes, you were on mute, ma'am. Some words
Right.
for our viewers.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is a pleasure to be part of this talk, and let us see how this Gen Z is going to take this world forward, especially after the pandemic.
Thank you, ma'am, and welcome. Our next
Thank you.
guest is respected Dr. Rupali Dhamdhere, ma'am, Principal, Trinity International School, Pune. She had worked towards giving equally able students a platform along with other children. She has contributed towards making emotional intelligence and social responsibility an integral part of the school curriculum. Her philosophy empowers the child to explore beyond the textbook and become lifelong learners, thus embarking on a quest of excellence. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the lovely introduction.
Welcome, ma'am. And last but not the least, we have Gunendra Kumar Mishra Sir, Principal, Nutan Vidya Mandir, Dilshad Garden, Delhi, who has more than 24 years of experience in academics. He is an author of concepts in daily life and a gold medalist in physics from BHU. He is a nature lover that firmly believes that if we all start loving nature, caring is diversified aura, and adapting ourselves to the pace and rhythm of dynamic changes around us, we can become a global citizen. We'll surely keep up building societies that offer a better place to live and to cherish. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you
Gunendra.
very much, ma'am. I'm looking forward to learn from the generation Z as well because we are actually from a different generation. So it will be a lovely interaction, I guess, from people who are, say, X generation, Y generation towards another group of people who themselves lovingly or proudly announce as generation Z. It's going to be good session, I guess.
We welcome all the educators to our Campus Care EdTalks. And to all our viewers, we welcome you. And if you've not subscribed to our channel, please hit that button and click the bell icon for regular updates and exciting episodes like these. So, as we begin the session, Archana ma'am, How our Z education needs different from the past education. Archana ma'am, you're on mute.
Yeah, it is so very different from today's scenario. I remember, I know I belong to the Paleolithic age. I belong to the Gen X, and even before that. You were born when there was only radio. Today, the TV is past. We are into the internet era. So the Gen Z today is into so much of online, so much of social media, that today the scenario is very different, very very different. And we as educators, we need to keep pace with our students because they are much ahead of us, at least where technology is concerned.
Completely agreed, ma'am. So true. So, as Archana ma'am defined what Generation Z exactly is, Rupali ma'am, please shed some light on what are the key factors that contribute to the creation and development of smart spaces for Generation Z learners.
Generation Z learners are more, you will see them on social media, and they are actually the natives, I will say, with, born with the smartphones, is this generation. So today, I belong to Generation X because that generation, I think, between 65 to 79. So Generation X and Generation Y, and today to the Z generation, you have mostly the Generation X teaching them or guiding them. But then, if we, even though we belong to Generation X, and we're kind of very proud that we've adapted to these times, in a very, I would say, graceful manner, because we are the ones who have come from the, maybe, like ma'am said, yes, when I was young, yes, we had the television and things were there. But the color television came in new during the Asian Games at that time, and that was a big attraction. And as a young kid, having a color TV at home was wonderful. But today's child is born with that kind of a smartphone and things in hand. The child just knows that I will just move up my finger and everything is available to me at the click of the finger. Where we still believe in reading out and surfing and actually reading out hard copies and things. This generation will give you the gist of the entire thing, what we are trying to say, in just a jiffy. So, physical space is not something that these children look at. They are looking at more advancement, they're looking at quick answers, they're looking at rational answers. They are not looking at any gyan that you want to give them. No, they're not interested in that. And if you're giving it to them, yes, you're not going to be their favorite one, or they're not going to connect to you. They're going to create their own gap and distance out from you because they're not interested in taking that. They are looking at spaces where they get their own freedom. these this generation is very happy with themselves. They're
Content.
not the kind of really, going out and meeting types. They're very happy to say hello to a friend virtually as well. So, whereas we, I think, still feel that.
Ma'am, did something happen? I'm so sorry.
Yes, I think I got muted earlier. Yes. So we are the ones where we still feel that we need to meet physically. Yes. So learning spaces and the resources that we need to have for these children is, like I said, it has to be more of technology savvy. We need to have to upgrade ourselves. Like I said, it is not more about physical space, but it is more about the internet space, the more about the connectivity that we can make available for these children and get down to their level. Actually, we get down in the wrong term. I think we need to get up to their level because, we need to do a little bit of homework and then talk to these children. I think then maybe they would be in a position to listen to us or things like that. And thinking that we are teachers and we can go and teach them. No, this concept has to go away now. We are all learners and on the same platform, and the teacher and the student is on the same platform. And I think if this concept is clear, the students and the teachers will it will be a happier place and learning will be better and fast.
Very right, ma'am. Very true, ma'am. Actually, the concept of physical classes is not there, and especially with the COVID times, physical classrooms have is completely left behind. But as
Actually,
yeah,
these
Actually,
children, yeah, these children are not at all facing that issue being online. They're very, very comfortable. It is
it is
us
actually learning
who,
anywhere and everywhere.
yes. So it is us who are finding it difficult because we are so used to having children in the school physically present with us. We are so used to that chatter. We are so used to the school well. We are so used to see them, moving around. So we are the ones who are actually missing the whole thing. They are, I think, very comfortable in their own zones.
ma'am, happy times are surely there, and I hope the situation gets better and the students come back to where they belong. They belong to schools. They actually belong to
No
schools.
doubt.
Archana, ma'am, would you want to add on to something to what ma'am was saying?
I just want to say that since we are into that era of learning anywhere and everywhere, they cannot be bound to limited area of classroom and to the chalk and board style of teaching. They need to be given their independence to learn, to think, to act, and to further implement. That is what is Gen Z is all about. They need to be given that kind of independence.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, very true, ma'am. So, as we are talking about technology, we know that this tech plays a very vital role in our education also, especially now. So, Gunendra sir, can you help us understand how technology can support the teachers and students in these smart spaces for the Gen Z learners? Please shed some light, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, completely.
Uh, in fact, technology, ever since the evolution of the whole technology and the different gadgets which we are able to now access, and day by day, the lot of improvement is still pouring out. You find that every now and then something which we used to be very familiar of earlier, it's going to be written off, and something new comes and replaces. So, the technologically, since the world is actually going at a certain pace, and teachers cannot just be behind, and they cannot expect that they will be still the part of this largely going society, whether you call Generation Z or whatever you want to call, but then the whole world is actually now going to be uh, looked upon as if it is nothing without technology. Technology has completely ingrained everywhere deeply, whether it's industry and whether it's our household devices, normal work, transportation. Look at everywhere. Obviously, communication is something which has got a huge revolution ever since the technology has started helping us. But then other fields are also not far behind. Now, the education is an area which I personally feel, and it's my concern also. I think sooner we realize, better it would be for all the teachers that technology must be implemented to almost everywhere, wherever we can, starting from the classroom till the examination, till the evaluation, assessment, even the simple conversation, the kind of the teaching pedagogically which we have adopted. Pedagogy also can bring a lot of revolution if you start using technology, you know, because artificial intelligence has all been about this only. Of late, CBSE has started a curriculum. India is trying to rather catch up the other world in this field, artificial intelligence. And when it comes teachers to utilize it and use it to the fullest, I'm sorry, I think some work needs to be done. I think credit should be given to the leaders sitting at the position in different institutions where they can start orienting the teachers. Many of us have done it. In fact, many teachers have started doing it, but then many teachers are still not very comfortable when it comes to using the technology. You can call that they're not that techno-fred. And they can be techno-fred when we actually devise a system in our institutions from our side where technology, they just start considering as if it's their normal routine process. Like they write diary, they write registers, they use their timetable. All those conventional methods which teachers are known for. In place of that, either or parallel to that, I'm not saying that you completely substitute everything out of the technological advancement, but then even if they start having a parallel system where they can access the technology in almost every endeavor or every sphere of the educational engagement which they are with parents and children, I think that very soon the gap between the teachers not being that techno friendly and the students, we are other stakeholders in the whole process, being very techno friendly, can easily be taken care of.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for pointing out the various things that we need to work upon. And I hope your message is reaching the right ear so that edu leaders and various platforms can work promptly for this. And Sir NTAB is working very hard to reach that level of technology so that there is no hard work for the teachers and the students.
If
So,
you allow me, just to add on one more
yes,
point,
sir.
I was just wondering that how long we will take it still understand the importance and the role which the technology can play in bringing the revolution in educational field. Suppose I am a teacher and I am reaching to a classroom, isn't it?
Yes,
Suppose
sir.
I started from a staff room
Yes, sir.
and I reached to the classroom. I entered in the classroom. I started teaching. I have started teaching some lecture, maybe some lesson which I have prepared. Now, from the time when I started from the class, from the staff room or in another class, wherever I was having before that period engagement, till I finished that class, shouldn't it be completely technology oriented process? Why should someone else monitor my entry in the classroom, whether I'm reaching the class late or early? How can someone else start reporting about my not finishing the class on time? How can some child who is not present in, okay, sometimes the children are not present in the classroom. It could be a very genuine reason also. I'm not saying that everybody is not present in the class is bunking the class. But how can in this technological world, a child who missed a class requires the teachers to repeat the same lesson again? So probably if we start understanding the power of the technology, everything which we do as a teacher in the school, starting from preparing the lesson to the delivering it, starting from the backlog to assessment to conducting the classes and the tests and everything, technology can do wonders
Yes,
in this space.
completely agreed. Completely agreed. We can replay classes. We can access the classes from whichever part we are in, wherever we are. Technology is actually boosting. So completely agreed, sir. Completely
Yeah, I
agreed.
would just like to add here that it is with the help of technology that we are having this video conference, right?
Yes,
We
sir.
are having this because of the technology.
Yes.
Technology is a great tool, it's an enabler, but it has to be used very cautiously. As far as our children are concerned, so they need to, they need to be taught how to use this technology in the right manner so that they use it um, in such a way that it helps them to grow, to move forward in their life, rather than you know uh, as as of now today's I don't know your experience could be a little different, but I would believe that the children today are talking, they're more using social media for fun, for enjoyment, right? And they need, but as teachers we need to be guides, we need to be enablers, we need to teach them how to use the same technology for their benefit, to move, to grow, as far as their academics is concerned, and later as far as their professional life is concerned. As far as teachers are concerned, yes, we were all caught napping, when this pandemic came up, and we needed to, immediately take hold of our reins. But I must appreciate, at least I know in my school and I know in my periphery, in my area, every teacher uh, adapted very fast. Yes, we took some time, but we adapted because we belong to a different generation. Even the teachers who are teaching the Gen Y, who is teaching Gen Z, and even Alpha. I think when we're talking about class six, five, six student, they are Gen Z Alpha now. They are even beyond Gen Z, right? So, and they are smart children, so we adapted very fast. I appreciate all the teachers, the teaching community all around India, and even I would say everywhere in the world. Not everywhere, even in the Western world, they did not have everything available. They also adapted. But I'm very happy that teachers did that.
Yes.
But yes, a lot needs to be done, and technology is a great tool, but needs to be used with caution.
Yes, ma'am, completely agreed. So, as you said, that technology needs to be used cautiously, and you even mentioned about social media just being a tool where students do what they like. So, ma'am, Generation Z spends a lot of time on social media like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. So, how can social media platforms be used as a collaborative tool? Could you shed some light, Archana, ma'am? Ma'am, you're mute. So sorry.
As far as social media usage is concerned, today's children, they are using Facebook, Messenger, Twitter. A lot of it, Twitter is being used, Instagram is being used. They're writing blogs. In this particular era, our children can be used can be taught to use these social media platforms for collaborative learning, where a group of students can be created and they can work together on an Instagram, or they can write a blog together and add to each other's work, and it will help them to connect, and these connections will lead to lots of opportunities for our children. There are this, as I said, Zoom online, this right now what is happening currently is also an amazing way of doing this collaborative learning. And what else? It's an active engagement. It is a tool of active engagement for the students, where a teacher can also be on the Insta, and the student can also be on Messenger, and they can all share their work together. And I can see, on Facebook, if I can share an experience of mine, few students of Nepal, my students of Nepal, are part of my Facebook friends. And once it started, they started talking to each other. Not they were not talking to me, but they started talking to each other about World War I, how it started with the murder of twins, and how it started, and then they started how we were taught by Archana ma'am. They were even sharing the questions that they were taught some 20 years back. And it was a lovely experience for me. I was just reading all their content, their text, what they were sharing with each other. And it made me feel so elated that even now they are connected with each other through this platform, and the learning had not gone away, and the learning was being shared. So that is one way where we can do this, children. But then again, they have to use it for learning only. This platform to for collaborative learning, where they can work together as one team. That's what I will say.
So, all the students who are watching this show, please use these social media sites wisely, as ma'am said. So, Rupali ma'am, today's students have been raised in a world of instant access to knowledge information through just a click, and a world of automation, remote controls, and tools that stimulate the mind. So please shed some light on what changes can we expect in learning modules for them, especially for flexible learning methods, keeping in mind the COVID times.
Uh, Talking about Gen Z, uh, they are sure having a short attention span. And when I say attention span, that does not mean they're less smarter, but their mind can multitask to many things at the same time. And it is trained in that manner right from the time they're born. So we cannot blame them for that short attention span, but in that short attention span is what they can actually deliver, to a much higher and a much more magnitude level than what we could at that point of time. So basically, they are looking at instant feedback. So if there is something that is there that they're sharing or they have given up as submission or things like that, what they expect is instant feedback, because if the feedback is delayed, that interest is lost. So to keep the interest intact of these children, the feedback needs to be instant. It needs to be fast. That is coming from the teacher. Now, also these children are going to be learning by doing. So, more than just the lecture method, if you can relate it to their real life experiences and ask them to do something, it can even be research, it can be questionnaire, it can be anything. But they are going to learn by doing, because they're not going to just depend on what you have said in the classroom. They're going to go back, they're going to reflect, they're going to share it on the various social media platforms that they're there. So they are maybe, in fact, more aware than what you are, because maybe we are more used to looking at the textbook or the syllabus because we've been trained in that manner, you know, looking at the syllabus. And we as teachers, ma'am, how much ever hard we try, we cannot give that up that this is there in your syllabus, you know. But these children don't care what is there in the syllabus and what is not. It is basically knowledge. So, thanks to the NEP that is coming up, there are a lot of changes and a lot of relief to these Gen Z people, because they can actually do multitasking. They are given a lot of choices, and I think more than reading or writing it down, these children are listeners. So anything that is available to them in audio form, they can do and they can learn. So these children can listen to your lecture at the time when they're actually responding to someone on the Facebook, or they're reading a review or giving a review on something, and or they can be listening to some music in the background at a certain thing. But that does not mean that they're not paying attention. So they are not a one track mind. So we need to get used to that kind of system that they have, that they can do these multitasking things, and we need to verify and modify our learning systems a little so that it suits them and the learning happens to them in a happier manner. Yes.
Very true, ma'am. Very true. So, thank you for telling our viewers how can we actually work towards getting something positive from our Gen Z learners. So, ma'am, numerous researches show effectiveness of learner-centered education. So, as we know, the education has shifted from the teachers to the learners now, with a focus. Yeah, as we know, it has shifted. So, Gunendra sir, can you please tell us more about a student-centered approach to learning when talking about infrastructure as well?
It is something which is my dream. In fact, if I could do ever something as contribution towards the present education system, which is highly loaded, teacher centric, and system all the time. Actually, it talks about being child centric, but unfortunately, I'm sorry to say that in spite of spending around 24, 26 years of my education career, starting from Modern Vidya Niketan, Faridabad, FPJ Noida, DPS Indrapuram, DPS Noida, I have found that actually it's not working. Most of the time, we are ending up being the syllabus centric or a policy centric, and the children are having a kind of a stakeholder where they are having no other option just to obey and just to follow it. Whereas it's supposed to be, it must be rather child centric. When you talk about the child centric approach or the child centric education, the primary objective is actually to teach the child, not to teach the subject which you are supposed to be. So if I say I'm a physics teacher, I'm sorry, who wants to know physics? Nobody wants to know physics nowadays. But if I say I'm a teacher, I want to teach, say, Archana ma'am, I want to teach, say, child X, who wants to understand, whatever he wants to understand, that makes sense. So when I say that I want to teach a child, do I know that what the child is? Do I know that what the child requires? Does have a communication? Does the child has a communication problem? And if I rectify that he does, shouldn't I teach the communication skill first rather than teaching him the subject? If I rectify the child has a basic mathematics problem, he has a basic numeracy issue. I mean, he is not able to understand the multiplication and division, all those basic mathematical skills, competencies. Am I not supposed to be teaching him the basic mathematics first as a teacher rather than just teaching him higher mathematics called trigonometry and calculus or any other, for that instance, the geometry, theorem and laws and all that mathematics? So ridiculous. You find that most of the teachers, they are good, they are having personal mastery in their subject. And why not? That is what they are paid for, isn't it? But unfortunately, when it comes mapping their knowledge to the audience and teaching the audience as per the need of the audience, which should be the child-centric approach, in my opinion, I'm sorry, they fail. I'm not saying that they are responsible for it. Probably the system is responsible. I'm also one of the part of the system. I cannot run away from the responsibility. But I want that it should be an outcome-based teaching pedagogy rather than class based or the a tag where a subject teacher goes to the class and finishes his subject or his topic and comes out of the class, and every class happens like this till the time comes when the assessment is done, whether it's a formative assessment or the subjective assessment, an exam is conducted, and the child is given a tag that you did perform well, you did not perform well. On the basis of that, we again start is making our strategies to have revision, and we start underline that these are the slow learner, these are the fast learner, ye low performer, high performer. And all these talks are, I think, they're happening too late on the day. We should immediately recognize that what exactly the competency level we are supposed to be going to cater to the classroom. And before that, needs to be the class needs to be first understood that what exactly kind of children are sitting in the classroom. Are they having all same competencies in communication of the languages? If not, first try to build up the competency level in the class right from the primary. I think it can happen. I'm not saying that you start doing this kind of process in the class 8th and 9th and 10th level. You may start right as early as primary level, maybe nursery prep, and slowly you find that till the children reach to the fifth class, just because of the system being child centric, you find that everybody in the classroom possesses basic competencies in communication, in basic mathematics, and maybe in basic environmental science.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for actually so beautifully telling us what could happen and what is happening. Rupali ma'am, would you want to add something to what sir had said?
Yeah, actually, Sir is very right in saying that we should be able to gauge the problem at in the beginning, and there's no point in doing it much later in life. But I feel that when we are talking about Gen Z, there is one more thing that we are nobody to actually tag them as a bright child or a slow learner or
Absolutely.
and anything like that. Each child is learning as per his or her own capacity, and the Gen Z is actually meant, to be accepted in that manner because they will have their own favorites and they will learn with their own timings and their own methods. How much ever, if you're trying to push it onto them, I don't think it's going to work. Or then in our regular education system, like we say, they are not the bright students of the class. So they are going to be labeled in that manner. But believe me, these children are least bothered, even if they are put into that category because of the kind of generation or the situation that they are in. They're very happy with the space that they have. So, and they will definitely do something good with their lives and with the interest that they have in life.
I
So,
agree with you. Yeah.
academic solely, yeah, solely. So there shouldn't be one common scale for everybody. I think it's time that we have a different scale of measurement for each child. Measurement academically, measurement intellectually, measurement emotionally.
Thank you, ma'am. And yes, NEP is actually coming out with certain policies and certain pointers that will follow this. So, Archana, ma'am, yes, you were wanting to add something also.
Yeah, I just thought probably you were also talking about the kind of infrastructure that we need to,
Yes, ma'am.
right? That was the question that probably we also digress because, we are also wanting to say that children don't need to, as Sir said, they can't be labeled, they can't be categorized. And because everybody is going to excel, if not in academics, then in sport or music, these days they are doing so much more than what we could ever do in our lives. Our children are much smarter. So, but when we are talking about a student centric approach for developing a new kind of infrastructure for them, I was thinking of this a different kind of a smart classroom, where we could have an internet connection for our students at their desk. Probably maybe they should have a student resource center in the school, or maybe there should be some kind of a charging station in the school, where as we have it at the airport, where we make it easier for children to access the information. But then again, there are certain things that we need to keep in mind in schools as management, because we need to have certain firewalls, around the whole system, so that they don't use and misuse our connection for for something that is not related to academics. I'm not saying anything else, because they are very smart children today. They know how to bypass those firewalls also. So we need to know this. But then, that kind of infrastructure needs to be built for the children, where they can access information, viable information for themselves, um, whenever needed, whenever
Completely
required.
agreed, ma'am. Completely agreed. And thank you for pointing out the infrastructural part also. As we move ahead, the adoption of e learning in schools, as we are talking about technology, is comparatively less at present, as Sir also mentioned. The Indian market is not substantial when compared to the international market. So, as an edu leader, Archana ma'am, what do you think are the main reasons behind this low adoption?
Oh, there could be number of them. I would say there is a mindset. The first and foremost, probably the mindset of the management. There's also the mindset of the parent community, the teachers, but whenever you want to bring some kind of change in the system, the first reaction is, why me? Why now? I don't want to do it. The negative reaction is the first thing that comes. But then, uh, you know, uh, with pandemic coming, that negative reaction could not have been, taken in. We all had to adapt. So the reason, the financial constraint is very important. There are people, who may not be able to spend so much on the infrastructural change that is required when we want to adopt an e-technology, and but then, with the mobile revolution in the country, in India, with every individual having access to mobile technology, and with so much of reasonable internet data connection, which has come to be within the reach of an individual in India, things have become a little comparatively cheaper and thus accessible. So the financial constraint is very important. There is even, if you are overcome this financial constraint in the urban areas, rural areas face a lot of connectivity issue. Um, and what should I say? I am personally having connectivity issue in my house right now. Wi-Fi problem was there. I had to adopt the mobile, you know, uh, connection through which I am this hotspot. I am working with you today right now. So sometimes even I would say acceptance from parents, that also takes some time, because again, the cost effectivity efficiency is also required. But things will come. People have accepted with pandemic. People have started changing. Teachers have changed. Parents have changed. Students were much ahead of us. So we are all changing because of this. And hopefully, in the newer times, things will be different.
Completely agreed, ma'am. Completely agreed. Yes, technology is something that we cannot really rely upon fully, but
Mhm.
technology is the need of the hour. So, completely
Absolutely.
agreed. Completely agreed. So, as we were talking about the technology, the classrooms, the infrastructure, Gen Z charts unconventional career path. So, Rupali, ma'am, what should we be careful about while training the future generations?
First thing is we need to stop being mediocre. So, thinking that if you get into medical school or if you get into an engineering college or if you get into IIT and things like that, you will have a better life. So, that notion needs to be washed off from our minds. The Gen Z is anyways not thinking about it, but we still try to impose those things on them, and try to push it on them that if you are doing things like these, and to do that you need to do put in so many hours of study or things like that. So we need to move out of that typical box pattern, and we need to be a little more creative and explore a little more. There are numerous careers that are available today to the children, and they are open to the children today. We cannot even think of careers like that which are available and which can be adapted. And there is a career, I would say, for each and every child, suiting his and her own capacity. So we need to start looking at it from a very, very wider angle, rather than just looking at the ones that we still know on our fingertips that, okay, this. These are the options, and you need to fit into those three, four, five, whatever. And if you do an arts degree, it's waste of time. If you do this, it's waste of time. If you're going to do CA only, then you get into commerce or things like that. So those notions actually can need to be wiped out, and the NEP actually is coming up with so many different things where it gives so much of importance to the skills. See, what happened is we were having those skills as a very, very cultural country, but somewhere down the line, the farmer's son felt that if I become a farmer, I won't have a grand life. So we kind of tried to, I'm not saying it's wrong to go to the cities, and it's not wrong to get your degrees, and it's not wrong working there, but somewhere we have, you know, kind of given and broken that traditional aspect and the skill learning that used to happen in families for generations today. And today we have to actually make a conscious effort to build that skill, and trying to inculcate that in school. Earlier schools were just education. The children went home and they did skill development because they sat with their families and they learned the skills that were there in the family. After that, we somewhere felt that learning this skill is of no use. I need to actually go to the city and I have to do things there. Only then I'm going to have a better life. But today, somewhere, I thank God we are realizing that we somewhere went wrong, and we are trying to rectify that part and get back the skills that are missing, because without skills, we are nowhere.
Completely agreed, ma'am. Completely agreed. So, taking this point, taking this spirit forward, as ma'am was talking, that we are not just limited to the curriculum and we are going back to the era where skills are valued, Gunendra sir. Our viewers would want to know that Generation Z is now more into the creative spaces. So, as an edu leader, what do you think about the ways to boost their overall motivation? What can be the primary learning methods for these Generation Z students, sir?
Uh, Before I come to the question which you have asked, ma'am, I would like to just add one point. Rupali ma'am has beautifully put up the case there that engineering and medical sciences are not only the career options. I mean, there are n number of numerous other options which has opened space for the children. And the sky is the only limit if anybody wants to. But the problem actually lies somewhere else. The problem lies that The country needs good engineers also at the same time. The country needs good doctors also at the same time. So, yes, whereas I totally agree when we say that we don't require only engineers and doctors, but then I have to also insist that we do require good engineers and good doctors as well, so that the case should not be defeated. I don't want to create all musicians in the country, and
Completely
then
agree.
probably the musicians are just running around different other countries to find a good doctor and good engineers, because we have to build the society in a balance. What is happening, I'm telling you, actually this notion is started, I remember my time, where children are actually not given the kind of positive parenting. Again, I'm sorry, I'm not blaming the parents. Every parent is, they are salutable. They are doing good job. So my parents, my father, I salute him for making me whatever I am today. But the positive parenting needs to be taken place at the right time, because that is where the children start getting a kind of orientation to understand himself. That is called knowing himself or knowing herself. And then once they start knowing himself and herself right from the family with the positive parenting, when they step into the system like we are talking about, called good schools, comprising of good structure, comprising of good leader, good teachers, a technologically enabled system where everybody is trying to promote the career in a very positive manner, then probably this problem never comes that there is a rat race towards choosing one career called engineering or medical sciences. Because every now and then they are understanding that engineering is not meant for them. Medical science is not meant for them. What is now happening? Even today, children enroll themselves first, they give the exam, they spend almost lakhs of money, and then the whole family and the parents and the child, they realize that, oh my God, I'm not meant for this. Let us do something else. So this eventual rush towards choosing a career is eventually leading to the chaos in the society, and the problem is coming. Now, coming to the question which you have raised, that this generation Z, the
More
smart
towards.
spaces which we have already created or we are trying to create, actually, uh, there's a lot of ways to understand their potential and make them realize that they are meant for this career. As early in class 9, I'm telling you, a child can discover that in class 9th itself that actually only the music is his career option, nothing else. He can never confuse throughout his life, and he can touch all the pinnacle of success in the field of music. A child can realize as early as in ninth class itself. I'm saying ninth class because actually the cognition stage till eighth class, it still needs little more maturity. Once the child reaches to class ninth, a lot of cognition development happens in the brain as per the Bloom's taxonomy. And the child starts understanding a lot of other things and repercussions, and a lot of other pros and cons about choosing a career, and understanding the world starts beginning there. So class ninth में अगर बच्चा realize कर ले कि, और parents भी realize कर ले कि हम मैं मेरे लिए ये करियर इंपॉर्टेंट है, मेरा पोटेंशियल इस करियर को मैच करता है, एंड देन नाइन्थ ऑनवर्ड्स मैक्सिमम 10 तक उसको एक सिस्टम के थ्रू 10 तक आप उसको पढ़ाइए. Immediately after 10th class, if we start giving a system where, since the child has already decided the career, let the only thing taught to the child are only counseling and only orientation and only motivation and only exposure given to the child is leading towards that career which the child has decided. I think all the confusion will wipe off from the society. I'm not saying the NAP is going to bring it or it is not going to bring it, because I think too early to comment. But I'm dreaming of a system where don't delay to decide the potential of a child, and then you give him the options कि तुम्हें ये नहीं ये बनना था ये बन जाओ. Recognize as early as possible, and then make your system in such a way that एक बार बच्चे ने decide कर लिया, parent ने decide कर लिया, पता चल गया, तो let him be moving in that direction.
So true, sir. So true. So it is the parents, the educators, and the children themselves who have to work hand in hand to make a global citizen for tomorrow, as sir said. Thank you, sir, for your remarks. So with this, we come to the end of this session. Sir, ma'am, please give some concluding remarks to our viewers, the parents out there, the educators out there. Archana, ma'am, what do you have to say to our viewers?
Well, as far as I am concerned, I would tell them that they should plan well, planning the long term, strategize in the short term, don't copy paste, don't get caught into the act of plagiarism, act well, prepare well, think correctly, and there's a long way to go. Learn time management. Things will fall in place if we learn time management, and we all have to learn it. Whether it is a student or it is a teacher or it is the management, we all have to learn. I would say they should know that they will be given independence to act, but then they must act responsibly. They need to know that tomorrow this world, their country, will be governed by them. So they need to take the onus of that. We as Gen X and Gen Y, we have given them we have held their hands, and we have taken them off on the road of success, hopefully, and I'm sure they will do their best to gain the height that we expect them, that they have charted for themselves, and I'm very sure they will all do very well. We are the enablers as teachers. We are the guides and mentors as teachers, but I'm very sure they will do exceedingly well in their life.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind words, Archana, ma'am. Rupali, ma'am, what concluding message do you want to give to our viewers or learners, as Archana, ma'am said?
Yes, I agree. I was just going to say that I agree to Archana ma'am that we are learners. The most important thing that we need to, give these children the confidence that we are there with them at the same level. Because we need to get out of that fact that we are going to teach them anything. No, we have to be there with them as learners on the whole that yes, you learn, and eventually while you are learning, I am going to learn. So having that friendly approach is going to be more effective in having this learning process done rather than a mentor and a student or a teacher and a student thing. So more on a friendly level is I think when we get down to that level, it is going to be a better learning process. Secondly, the thing that we say, हमारे ज़माने में, so let's forget that हमारे ज़माने में ये आज नहीं होता, and let's accept that this is their generation. If they're saying no to something, don't feel bad. They're very firm about it. So it's not that हमने अपने पेरेंट्स को कभी ना में जवाब नहीं दिया. So it's fine. It is their generation. It's high time we accept that there's nothing wrong in that. So they're saying no, accept it gracefully. Don't pile on your values onto them because they are going to feel uncomfortable and it might turn into a more uncomfortable relation other than that. So try and be friendly with them other than piling on the excess baggage of values that we feel. So there is no lack of values in these children. They actually display them in a different manner, and we need to be appreciative about that as well. So I think be appreciative about their ideas, be appreciative that they're multitasking. If they're not looking at you and answering and looking at the mobile and answering, don't feel insulted. It is fine. Try to understand that they are multitasking, they're not ignoring you actually at that point of time. So we need to mend our ways a little bit to get in a little more friendly with these children and try to understand the Gen Z so that they will make a better world tomorrow because it's their world tomorrow.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for telling our parents, and I hope our parents who are watching us have actually understood that the Gen Z children are not really disrespecting them. They are just doing multitasking and they are building their own career and future. So, Gunendra sir, what do you want to tell to our parents and educators out there?
Um, Thank you very much to you, ma'am, and both my co-speakers. Yes, ma'am. I will be having little different opinion. I expect that my co-speakers will forgive me for that. Enjoy the present. Learn from the past. Don't think of too much about the future, which is never you in your hand. You hardly know that what is going to become. So thinking too much about the credit um, and thinking too much about something which is not in your hand actually brings other complications in life. Number one. Number two, when I say enjoy the present, I mean here explore yourself. Go out and explore it. And I request the parents to allow their kids to explore the world rather than giving spoon feeding, rather than just being the guide by side all the time. I respect all the sayings, I respect everything, but at the same time, it's happening too much too often nowadays. बच्चे को बाहर नहीं जाने देना है, बच्चे को कुछ काम करना है तो वहां खड़े टोकना है हर काम पे. We are not supposed to be acting all the time as a guide and as a teacher. In fact, let them learn, let them fail, let them deteriorate their confidence, let them emerge out of the failure. And then I think you're supposed to be hugging and holding them tight and believing them that I am there, don't worry. But then, until and unless you expose them to the world, I think they are going to face the problem in the coming world.
Thank you so much, sir, for your point of view. So, as concluding our educators' message to all our viewers, learn from the past, enjoy the present, prepare for the future. With this spirit, we come to the end of our session. Thank you all for joining us today, and thank you to all the viewers also for watching our show. Please do subscribe and click that bell icon for regular updates and more exciting sessions like these. I would thank you all for your thoughts on developing smart spaces for Gen Z learners. Indeed, it was a wonderful session. Thank you so much.